Broke Right Media.
You're now listening to The Straight Shooter Show with your host, The Straight Shooter.
So we're going to talk about money today because it's been a real hot topic this week on TikTok. Lots of questions about money and disagreements, really. It started really, somebody had asked me if I was going to make my son move out when he turned 18 or graduated from high school. And I said, no, of course not. I want him to stay here as long as he wants. And I made the statement that I would like for him to have 40 or 50 grand in the bank before he moves out, that I've told him that. And I was really shocked by how many people came back at me and was like, who the hell's going to save that? You know, no kid can save that money. It's unrealistic. You know, maybe 20 grand, you know, or your kid's going to live with you till he's 30. And it just really, it shocked me that so many people had that perspective on it. I mean, a kid that's living at home, that's working, that has no rent, no utilities, all he really has is some insurance and upkeep on his vehicle and gas. You know, he can save a ton of money depending on what his priorities are. I mean, I want to talk about this because you can do this. If you are living at home with your parents and they're not making you pay any bills, if you go out to eat 2 or 3 times a day, or you go to every concert that comes to town, or you're going out drinking beer, or the list goes on. I mean, if you're using tobacco products, or if you are, you know, using any kind of drugs, no, you're going to spend your money. But if it's a priority to you that you want to buy a house and have a large sum of money to put down on that house, you could save. Let's just do the math. Let's say you're bringing home $2,000 a month, right? Let's say you put back $1,500 of that, because I know my son doesn't spend $500 a month. Let's just say that you only put back $1,000 of it, and you spend $1,000 a month. Well, that's $12,000 a year. So in 4 years, you'd have $48,000 saved up. So if you started that when you're 18, by the time you're 22, you got 50 grand. You can go put down on a house if you prioritize that. I knew this guy that he came here from Vietnam, and he had a very small convenience store. And he ended up marrying a woman from Vietnam, brought her over here. They had a baby. They lived in the convenience store, so he wouldn't have to pay rent somewhere, in a very small part of this store. And I mean, he would heat up his Roman noodles on a hot plate back there behind the curtain. That's how they lived for several years. But he built that, you know, that convenience store up. Not even really. I mean, he continued to work that convenience store, but in the long run, the guy's a millionaire. The guy's a millionaire because he prioritized where he spent his money. He ate Roman noodles and he lived in his store. So people that are saying that you can't save money under those living conditions are not prioritizing their money. So just wanted to have a little monologue this morning to talk about you can do anything if you prioritize it. You know, you can save that money if it's top of the priority.
Yeah, you know what you just said, I don't know if you know who Gary Vee is, but he actually spent, I don't quote me on the numbers and stuff like this, but he actually spent the majority of his 20s, and he's a big proponent of you're not going to enjoy your life.
Right.
In your 20s and your 18s and stuff like that. He spent his 20s working in a liquor store, saving a ton of money, and until he could start investing in stuff and building his portfolio and stuff like that. He was big on never going out, never doing anything fun. I mean, always just saving money,
right,
until he blew up. So what you just said, Gary Vee preaches it from the mountaintops.
Well, I agree with that too. And some people are like, well, that's not a life. I don't want to live that way. And I get it if that's not what your priority is. But a few money saving tips that can help you right now, even if you don't want to live that life where you never do anything. Like for me, during the week, I generally don't eat out during the week. I take my lunch. I have my breakfast at home, or I take something from home for my breakfast, and we eat dinner at home. I save as much money as I can during the week to free myself up some funds for the weekend if I want to go out to a nice dinner or anything I want to do, and then still try to have money left for savings. When I was married to my first wife, she had a 3-year-old daughter, and it was constant money going out. I mean, constant. It was every gumball machine, every stop, and back then I drank a lot of soda pop. I'd buy a fountain drink times 3, or at least times 2 every time we would stop at the store. And if you can stop yourself from every time you go to the convenience store, don't go in there and spend money. Get your gas and move on. If you do go out to eat fast food, you don't have to have the fries, and take a drink with you, especially if you're leaving the house. Take a drink from the house and don't buy one at the fast food joint. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can cut your costs down where you're not spending that much out. And don't go to every concert or every show or every movie that comes out. I mean, wait for it to come out, on YouTube or on Netflix or whatever you stream. You can save money if you prioritize.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, one thing that helped me, and this just happened recently because I'm not really growing up until I was in my 30s. You made a video last week about saying that how you're really not mature until you get 30, and that is so true, especially for men. That, like, I didn't even realize I was an adult until I turned 30, and I was like, oh no, like, I'm a man now. Like, right. I'm gonna start getting my crap together. But one thing I did is I started figuring up how much, because all my bills are monthly. Everybody's bills are monthly pretty much, right? So I started figuring up how much money I was spending on convenience store.
Yes.
Because most people don't really think about it. And I started figuring it up. And dude, this is going to be kind of embarrassing to say, but I was spending like $700 a month at convenience stores. I don't
doubt that.
I was like, what? I don't spend any money now at convenience stores, because if you actually put down on pen and paper what you're spending, it shocks you. And then also what my mindset was, okay, I'm kind of having trouble paying these bills. How much am I spending at these places that I don't need, or I could make a little shift in it? Right. $700 a month. That could be someone's rent. That was my car payment times 2.
Right.
My rent payment, or my insurance payment times 3, and at 3.2.
Right.
And I was like, whoa, So, I mean, and it's all about your attitude at the end of the day too, right? Like, if you have a bad attitude about not going to see movies, you're going to be pissed off all the time, Yeah. Like, you have to change your attitude a little bit. Make it realize that it's not so bad not doing those things.
Well, and another great thing to do, one last thing on this, is if you are going to really make a genuine effort to put money in savings, something comes up, like a movie. I'd like to see that movie, but I'm not going to. I would have spent, $30 to go see it, with snacks and everything. Take that $30 you were going to spend on it, put it in a savings account. Just electronically move it over there as if you went to that movie. You're rewarding yourself by putting it in savings, and the money's still there. Because if you don't move it, if you're just like, well, I'm not going to go, you might end up spending it on something else anyway. So
yeah,
it's really good to electronically move it and forget it. It's already in savings.
Yeah. And that way you won't be tempted to go ahead and go to the movie the next day or something. Yeah. That's a good idea. That's for sure a good idea. Do you have anything for what you want to tell the people about your merch or anything going on? I've talked to my merch guy. We are going to have a couple of new designs coming out in the next week or so. I'll end up doing a TikTok video or two, I'm sure, on it. But if you don't see the TikTok video, be sure and check back to the merch store periodically. We're going to have some new stuff. I also talked to him about pricing. We're trying to get some pricing adjustments done in the next week or so. So if you haven't been to the merch store in a while, you might go
checking in here in a week and see if the prices might be a little better. But yeah, just plugging right along on that.
I like your hats.
Front. Yeah, I'm real happy with the hats, especially this is my favorite one of all of them.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
And just to let everybody know, he won't even give me one. He's going to make me buy them too. So you got to go buy one too.
I got like 25 people have said, man, I'm like your friend. Can I not get a hat? Yeah. Do you want the link to the store?
Yeah, you can buy one any day. You can buy as many as you want. And plus, if you love Jason, you got to go support him. Go support him and go buy him. It's worth it. It's quality stuff. So, that's the same mentality me. Is like, if I support him, I got to go buy it too.
And it is everything that that was one of the first things when I picked a merch company. I'm like, I don't want to sell junk. It's got to be top quality product. I mean, whether it's my name or not. I mean, if my name's going to be on it, I don't want junk that's going to fall apart or shrink up. It's got to be good stuff. So yeah, I'm happy with the quality.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that's been interacting with the episode. You're making this show possible by doing that. We've been having a absolute blast interacting with you, and it's been fun watching Jason interact with you guys. And so continue to do that. Don't forget the email, thestraightshootershow@gmail.com, and the straight is STR8, the number 8. Don't forget to send in your video submissions, your written submissions, anything, and we will do our best to get to it and as detailed as you can. You guys have been doing really good at being detailed, so I wanted to commend you on that. So, all right, let's go ahead and go to the email. We had an email submission. I'm not going to say this guy's name this week.
Okay.
It's a sensitive issue. He's going through it, and he doesn't want anybody to know who he is or anything like that. So I'm not going to say his name, but I'm going to read you the email, and then he wants your advice. He's going through it. So, okay. Here's what he said. He said, I want to first say I'm really enjoying the podcast and also think you're a really great follow on all social medias. First, a little background. My wife and I have been married for 9 years, had a few little bumps in the road early, but really seemed to be doing good for the most part. After not being able to have a child, we decided to foster and adopt. A couple of years ago, we adopted 2 beautiful little girls, currently 2 and 4. All along the way, there have been rough patches, as I said, but we always seem to work through them. Here in more recent years, we seem to be living more as roommates, almost more than a married couple. The intimacy has gone away. I would try to liven things up, but my advances seem to not be met well, so eventually I just stopped and decided I was going to let her initiate things. About 2 months ago, we had a discussion/argument, and she just kept telling me she wasn't happy. I asked her what she needed to make her happy, and she said she didn't know. I told her she had to figure that out because if she didn't know, I sure as hell couldn't make her happy. I told her that if it's not me that makes you happy, then you have to come to that conclusion and make that decision. Well, about 3 weeks later, she informed me that she was moving out and wanted to separate. The last 4 weeks, we have been splitting time with the kids, and I have been trying to open up more communication. She said she needs to be desired and not just love, and she doesn't see by my actions that I love her. As for me, I've never been that type to hold hands, walk around, and hug and lovey-dovey in public. I probably don't send flowers like I should or buy random gifts. I feel like I show my appreciation in other ways, taking care of the kids when I know she's had a tough day, washing dishes, cooking dinner, doing laundry, giving her girls' nights out. I don't complain about it, but I don't get any reciprocation on that. I feel like it's become expected for me to do all these things, and she knows that if she just waits long enough, I will do the dishes and the laundry and whatever else. Now, I'm 37 years old. I've been married once before. It was a bad decision on my part. When asked why I didn't try to make her stay, I told her that I wasn't going to beg her to want to be with me. She didn't seem to like that answer, but it's the truth. I feel like I tried to do things to make her happy, and it wasn't ever enough. I never was one to go out, but I didn't go around my own family because she didn't have fun, quotations, around them. I quit deer hunting one year because she didn't think it was something I should do. I dedicated weekends to activities she wanted to do rather than watching football or NASCAR. Sadly, I think I was content being unhappy for the sake of the children. I know that was super winded and maybe a little too much, but I wanted to give you as much info as possible. So his questions are, how long should I wait before I tell her that I'm not waiting on her anymore? And he wants and his second question is any advice on other ways to approach the situation. I've spoken to my friends, my parents, my pastor, and a few others here and there. I'm asking you because he wants an unbiased opinion, and I respect what you have to say. I know this is a lot, but anything will be help much appreciated.
That is a lot.
It was a lot, but I wanted to read the whole thing because I read over this before the show. I wanted to read the whole thing to you because I feel like you needed to know all that.
Yeah, I agree. You know, this is really a very common. So many people feel this way, that they feel like they are showing their love in whatever their love language is. And in his case, he felt like, you know, doing the things around the house, trying to help. You know, she's had a bad day. I'm going to cook dinner. I'm going to help with the laundry, whatever he was doing around the house. And she's screaming to him that, you know, she wants more affection. She wants, you know, to feel desired. I would, right off the bat, before I get to the actual two questions, I would really just say that I would recommend that the two of you get the book or the audio version of the 5 Love Languages. Both of you read that book, and determine if, you know, maybe you can identify what your love language is and she can identify what hers is. And then you can discuss that and work on providing the love language that the other one needs. And as far as the giving up the NASCAR and the hunting and stuff, I think a woman loses respect for us when we do stuff like that. We think that we are, you know, well, that's what they want. They want more of my time. They don't want me to do this, so I'm not going to do it. But when we do that, I think that women lose respect because it's like, well, I've got him whipped. I mean, he's going to pretty much do whatever I tell him to do or want him to do. And you have to have your own identity. So if hunting is something that you were already doing, you know, or watching NASCAR, in my opinion, you just keep doing that because she knew that that's what you were when she got you. And even if you trimmed it back a notch, maybe, but I wouldn't give it up. And I'm not saying this just to you, to anybody else that's watching or listening to this podcast. You have to keep your own identity. You can't let somebody dictate to you, you know, who you are. As far as how long you wait to tell her that you're not waiting anymore, there's not a definitive answer on that. I wouldn't get in a rush to move on in my life. You've got these two foster or adopted. Did he say adopted? Are they fostering them?
That's
working toward adoption.
I believe they're adopted. After a couple years ago, we adopted 2 beautiful little girls. Currently 2 and 4. Yep, adopted.
So, I mean, y'all have got 9 years, and I mean, I certainly wouldn't rush anything as far as finalizing any kind of divorce myself. I think I would give it some time to let things marinate, let her have some time not talking to you, you know, and really determine if that's the direction she wants to go. It sounds to me like you reaching out for help and questions on this is you want to, if it's possible to salvage, you know, you would prefer to salvage the marriage. And I would like for that for y'all, especially with the 2 young, you know, children that y'all have adopted. So I can't tell you how long to wait, but I can tell you I wouldn't rush moving on or finalizing anything unless she does. If she moves on or if she wants to finalize it, like I'm with you. You're not going to beg her to stick around. I mean, if that's the decision that she makes, then that's the decision she makes, and then you'll know. I mean, you'll know it's time to move on. Or you've watched my videos. You know I've given when you're ready to move on. But you'll know that it's time to let go if she does those things. What was the other question? How long to wait? And then
he just wanted advice on how to approach the situation, how to approach it. Basically, what I hear you saying is move on, but don't move on. Like, go do your thing.
Yeah.
But don't get in a rush to give up on the relationship, but do your thing for now.
Yes.
I agree with that.
I mean, you got to be tried. I mean, it's going to be agonizing right now because the unknown, you don't know what she's thinking. You don't know what she's going to do. But I just, in my opinion, you don't want to finalize anything, and you don't want to start moving on romantically with anybody else, because you've already got a situation here. And you don't want to add somebody else into the situation until this situation is completely resolved one way or another. Either you're going to get back together, or it's going to end in divorce. But don't bring anybody else into that. If she does, that kind of makes a decision for you.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. What he's saying, and what I'm getting from this is move on with what you want to do. Do your thing, go have fun, but don't move on romantically unless you've made the decision that you want to move on. Because bringing somebody else in, even though you're lonely or whatever, that puts a stamp on it. And if you bring somebody else in to have fun, quotation marks, you better be damn sure you're ready to move on, because that puts a stamp on it.
Yes.
But I agree with that. Do your own thing. Go have fun. Make yourself happy, because you can't make her happy. We talked about this in the last episode. But don't move on romantically if you still want to salvage that relationship.
Yes.
I like that. I mean, I couldn't agree more. And it's got to be scary, though, right? To be in that situation.
Yeah. And, I just did a video a couple of days ago on TikTok about, it was kind of a little poem that I'd written a long time ago with the coffee dripping, talking about how, the guy doesn't feel like she acknowledges him anymore, even though he can see when she talks to other people, she seems like everything's fine, but then they get alone and it's like she ignores him, and he's wondering what's going on. I'm doing everything I used to do. I'm doing everything for you, but you're not acknowledging me. And maybe for her, she's just not getting what she wants from him anymore. Maybe her needs have changed and she hasn't communicated that very well to him, whatever the case is. But he's still sitting over there going, I'm right here. I mean, are you wanting out? Because you're not telling me anything. I mean, you're not telling me what I can do for you. So many people feel that way in their relationships. I mean, it's so common, and it's sad.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
What makes me sad is that he says he's 37 and they've been married for 9 years.
Yeah.
And I've never been in a relationship that long. I was married for 6 years. But what's scary about that is, in every relationship I've been in, when you get into this rut that he's in, I've never dug myself out of it. So I wouldn't even know how to dig yourself out of that rut. What would you say to me, or somebody that maybe doesn't have faith in the system per se, that I've always been in this rut? I call it the rut, where they've gotten in this cycle to where they've gotten this place where neither one of them are really happy.
Right.
But he wants to save the relationship. How do you get out of that rut? Have you ever been dug out of that rut? What did you do to get out of it?
I mean, the advice that I've given people, I have fallen into ruts before and been able to come out, but then, back down again.
Yeah.
Like I've been open. I've been married 3 times. That's when I just felt like I divorced, because it was like, I can't get you to communicate to me. I can't. I've done everything I can do for you, and you are not participating in this marriage anymore. So I'm getting out. I'm not going to live the rest of my life this way. But the advice that I've given people, if they are like, things are getting stale and it's just going down into a rut, is 2 things. Either A, you try to take yourselves back to the beginning, to remember the things that you were doing when you were first dating, to try to get that excitement back from, the very beginning, or try to come up with the new ideas, new things that you can do. I mean, sit down at the kitchen table and play Uno, and talk, or sit down and play Skip-Bo, or, get a board game out, do something besides watch TV. Do something that's out of your normal. If you're just going to work and coming home and cooking dinner, maybe watch a little TV and you wore out, don't do that. I mean, get out of that habit of doing the exact same thing every day. You have to change it up. And I've said go for a walk after dinner. It's cold right now in most places, so that may not be the best thing right now, but figure out something, however small it is, that's going to change your routine up, and get away from the TV so that you are talking more instead of just sitting there like zombies watching the TV together or apart, or whatever the case is.
Be a leader, not controlling, but be a leader. I read an article that over 60% of women just want to be led. Yeah. They want the man to take the reins, and I do not want to say take control, because controlling is wrong.
Right.
But be a leader.
Yeah.
Lead by example. Lead your family where you want it to go. Be a leader.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
So, okay. So we need to move on. We got a very important guest coming on today.
So excited.
I know you are. I am too. Patricia Marie from TikTok. She's a huge creator, and she's a lot of fun. And I think you two getting together is going to be awesome. I'm excited for the fans to see it. So without further ado, Patricia Marie.
All right. I am so excited to have you on the podcast, Patricia. When you made the comment on whatever TikTok video that about being a guest on the show, I thought, she's just messing with me. And when you said you were serious, I was like, Zach, I got a guest. Don't book anything for next week. I've got the perfect person. So
I know.
So happy.
I know when you said something about it, I was like, no, I was serious. Like, hey, I would love it. I've watched you for a while now, and I'm like, heck yeah. Like, I can see some of your points, and I'm like, oh yeah, let me be on the other side of it. So I was just excited.
So what we've agreed to do is we've got 8 questions that I'm going to have Zach is going to volley back and forth. But before we get into it, I'm sure that most people that are listening to this podcast or watching it already know who you are, but there may be somebody that doesn't. So Patricia Marie, she has been on TikTok. How long have you been posting videos on TikTok?
I just started. Well, actually, it'll be, I think, February of last year. So almost a year.
February of this year.
Yeah, this year.
You started after I did. I started in January.
Did you?
Yes.
I was waiting for you to check it out first.
Patricia is, people just love her. She is really, she's infectious, positive personality, and smile. And she does a lot of videos with one of her daughters, who also has her own following, on TikTok. If you don't know who Patricia Marie is, we're going to put the graphic up that has your name, so people can go find you on TikTok and see you and all your beautiful stuff that you put out on TikTok.
There we go. I'll take it.
I know that you and I have a few things in common. You're a mom and I'm a dad. You've got 3 daughters and a son, right?
Yep.
And I raised a daughter with my first wife. And then my second wife had 3 sons when I married her, and then we had our son together. And then my third wife, she had 3 sons that were already pretty much grown by the time I got with her. So, I've had a lot of step kids. I've raised kids, but
in and out.
just my one biological son. But we've both been married 3 times, right?
Yeah.
So both kind of, I consider myself Southern, although some Southern people don't consider me Southern. Do you consider yourself Southern?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I do. Yeah. I'm more of the, I want to be, Northern, or, I like the city life, but I like country life too. So I'm kind of like a mixed between. Right.
Well, my ex-wife used to call me a city boy because I was raised in the suburbs, but people from up north would definitely not call me a city boy.
I know. So if I go up there, so I'll just stay right here. That way I just kind of get the best of both worlds for me.
And you're near Bowling Green, right? Kentucky?
Yeah, I live in Bowling Green. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, basically, yeah. Lived here well, I was born here, but my parents they moved back and forth, like from Indiana to here, Indiana to here. So, about 21, I came back and been here ever since.
Yeah. And you love it there.
I do, I love Bowling Green. I
Cool.
love Kentucky.
Cool.
It's not bad.
All right, sweetheart. Let's get into
All right.
The way we're going to do this is my producer, Zach, he's going to ask a question, and he will direct one at you, and the next one will be at me, and we'll just go back and forth. And, if I'll let you answer the first one, and if I agree, I'll just agree, maybe expand on, and if I don't, then I'm going to let you know about it.
Oh, of course. Let me. I'm ready. I'm
All right.
ready.
Okay,
Bring it
so
on.
I don't know what kind of questions you get on TikTok and stuff, Patricia, but these are ones that Jason normally gets, and so I'm gonna throw one at you, and this is the one that I see the most that he answers, and it says, "We just broke up, and it hurts so bad. How do I get over this?"
Oh, bless it. Okay, that's a hard one, but time. It's just time. I believe it's timing. You can't just get over someone if you truly cared about them. I mean, there's still people I care about today. It doesn't mean I want to be with them, but as far as that one, you can't. It's just time, and maybe until you find someone else or whatever. But I think it's timing for me.
I agree 100% that it is time. Now, what you do with that time while you're trying to, get there is, in my opinion, pretty crucial. I mean, none of us want to lay around and be depressed all the time until the time has passed. So you need to try to continue to function in life and try to better yourself and get better prepared so that when that time has passed and you're ready to move on, then you're a little bit better person maybe than you were. And most of us don't do that. I mean, most of us do. We get depressed and
we turn that slow music, depressing songs on and just keep replaying it over and over and watching the love stories. It's almost like we torment ourselves.
Yes.
And now I have learned, through the years and marriages, I try not to do that, which I haven't been heartbroken since I've grown up. You know what I mean? I've been trying to avoid that, but we all do it. It's just part of it. And it's just getting, having time to get away from it. So
yes,
I agree with you too.
So I'm curious, something that you just said. You said you haven't been heartbroken since you've grown up. Like, what has there been something that you've done to avoid that, or have you not been dating, or what? I'm just curious.
It's pretty much. Yeah, I'm pickier. So, instead of going into a full-fledged relationship with someone, the older you get, then you know your worth and you start growing from that. So it's like you don't want to go into something knowing that you already start seeing some red flags or whatever. So you're just you back yourself off. So you're not going to get as hurt. When you're going through relationships when you're younger, in my place, like I just wanted somebody to love me, so it could have been anybody, I think, at that time. And then you come to learn later on, maybe that's not who you wanted or what you wanted. But when you get older, you're like, it wasn't all their fault. It was my fault. It could have been both of our fault. But now it's just like you're pickier. You know what you're worth. You don't let them in yet. You become friends. Then you just kind of sort it out and wait for the future and don't get so excited and it's not real. So I think that's very helpful of just learning from the experiences I've had.
Yeah. Yep,
yes.
That's how we do it. We have all these history books of people making mistakes, but it seems like we all have to make our own to learn, huh?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Which is kind of one of my goals is to try to help people not make some of the same mistakes that people like me and Patricia have made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of them still will.
Well, and you both do a great job at it, and I can see a lot of young people really looking up to you guys and wanting to learn and not make the same mistakes. So you guys do a big help in that. So, okay. Second question is a common question that Jason gets. And a lot of these too, we're just trying to get a perspective from, that way Jason's not just the man. He wants also a woman's perspective on all this too, because this can be very different in the trade. So this question is, I'm graduating this year and I have no idea what I'm going to do. Help. So I'm going to throw this to Jason first. from a young man that's asking this question, what would you say to them? And then after Jason's done, Patricia, from a young woman, what would you have to answer to that? So Jason first.
So regardless of what you do, I always push education, whether you go on to a community college or some kind of trade, or go into the military and get some kind of education through the military. There's got to be some kind of education beyond high school, and helping to determine what that education is going to be or should be. I mean, there are tests that you can take that tell you, like aptitude tests, that tell you what you would be best suited for, what your interests are. Maybe you don't know what your interests are. Those aptitude tests will help you discover, well, maybe this is the field I should be in, because this is how I answered these questions, and it's directing me in down this path. So I can never tell anybody this is specifically what you should go do after school, but you definitely, after you graduate, need to get some kind of education in something, is my opinion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Good one. Okay. Patricia, what would you say to a young woman that doesn't know what she wants to do and she's trying to search for that?
Okay, I agree with Jason as far as, you do need some kind of education. I believe that I don't want them to be pushed into anything they don't want to do or feel pressure, just because if I said you have to go to college, you have to do this, and then you sign up for school just to be signing up for school, and then the money wasted, and then you figure out later on that's not something that you wanted to do. So I believe that they need to really take the time, maybe go and shadow people, like he said, just do something. I do believe in education, but I also believe in, don't rush into anything. You got your whole life to be pressured and all the bull stuff that we go through, and I don't want them to feel like they have to go to college at that certain time, just because maybe they're not ready for it. Just everybody's different, but I do hope and wish everyone does, but I just don't like the pressure sometimes of people saying, you have to go to college, you have to go straight out into it. But so it's like I'm like Jason, but then again, I just don't want to be, just as soon as they graduate, they go to some sort of trade, because then maybe that's not what they want. So just kind of take your time on it and really, really, really focus on what you want.
So you're saying basically that that you can take a couple years and just work a job until you kind of figure out what your place is.
Absolutely. I don't see anything wrong with that. If they're, some kids are just pressured into just starting it, and it's nothing they wanted. And then they go to college for 4 years and don't even use what they had, and now they're paying back all these student loans for something that they just were, pressured into doing. So to me, it's like, when you get 18 and, you want to abide by your parents, you want to do the right thing. But if college sometimes is not people's field, just like high school is not some people's field, so to me, it's like, they're so young. If you have something that, whatever your trait, and you don't know, then find it, try to work towards to finding that. Until then, I just think that, go get your gen ed, definitely go get it, because you need that. You have to use that for later on. But I just hate the pressure of it with the children today. So.
Oh, I agree with you. I don't want anybody to go to college not everybody is college material. I mean,
yeah,
and I understand what you're saying about taking a little break. If somebody just really does not have a clue, just can't really even do an aptitude test, and they're racking their brain, what do I want to do? Maybe they shouldn't, sign up for any kind of anything and just work. But I think if you wait too long, it's harder to go back to get into any kind of college or trade or anything. So I wouldn't want somebody to take too long of a break after high school before they make some decisions about what direction they want to go.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
I'd like to say something here that I still beat myself. I think about it once a week, but whenever I was 18 years old, I took the ASVAB test. I met with a recruiter, and he told me, he was like, whatever job I was wanting to do at the time, which was a police officer, I didn't test high enough on it, but they had a separate mechanics test. And he told me, dude, you can be a jet mechanic. And I was like, I don't want to be a jet mechanic. If I would have had somebody in my life say, hey, dude, you don't know what you're missing up on, I would be 2 years away from retiring from the military as a jet mechanic. Do you know what that could have done for me?
Right.
If I would have just signed on the paper, and if I would have just had somebody to tell me, dude, you could be a jet mechanic, I would be retiring from the military as a jet mechanic, and then the opportunities would be endless.
He told you that you could be a jet mechanic. You didn't listen to him.
Well, the recruiter did, but I didn't have anybody in my life like, Zach, you idiot. Which now I'm, in my mid-30s, and I'm going, Zach, you idiot. What are you doing? I don't know.
I know. That's what's hard. We don't listen when we're young. And that's why I like Jason's platform, is because, when I came across his, and it's like everything, a lot of his things that he would, come back with these kids with, I'm like, God, it's so true. If we only listened, if we only listened. So my kids didn't really listen. I didn't listen. So it's like, maybe because we're not their parents and we're not their family, we could be like that recruiter and say, listen, kids, we ain't lying to you. We didn't raise you. So there's nothing that's going to, come back on us. So hopefully, they listen to us, as much as they can.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. I agree. Okay. Next question for you, Patricia. I'm interested in seeing your point of view on this. So a common question that Jason gets is, how do I know when to say, I love you?
Oh, well, when you feel it, and you don't want to rush it as well, in my opinion, but you just know, and don't waste that time. If you feel the love in your heart to tell them you love them, you never know when, your last day is going to be. So you will know when you know. You will know when you know. It's almost like when you go and you learn to ride a bike, you can't ride it until you just know, like, I've got the strength, I can do it, and you go ride that bike. So it's the feeling. You'll know. That's the only answer I have. You will know, because it'll be the right time when you truly believe that you do, and don't waste time telling them.
Okay, see, this is where you guys are going to disagree, because Jason is a little different on this one. I know his answer to this.
I say, for definitely not in the first 90 days, because I don't think you know somebody in 90 days, and typically not in the first 6 months, unless you've known the person for years prior to dating. Then you know them a lot better than if somebody you just started dating. In my opinion, you know that you love someone when their happiness is priority, not above your own happiness, but when their happiness is so important to you that even if that meant that they didn't choose you, that you still want them to be happy. So if their happiness is the pinnacle, the priority, and it doesn't mean because of how they treat you or what they do for you or how they make you feel, then you love them. It's how I feel. Now, all the bonuses of loving someone, in my opinion, and that if they love you back and they make you feel special and they do things for you, that's like, I love this person and they're doing this stuff for me. So this is fantastic. But even if they didn't do that stuff for you, if they did it for somebody else, you still love them because you love who that person is. That's how I look at love.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that.
And whenever I've told somebody that I've loved them, it's never been like you. It's been like, they already knew that I loved them because how I treated them. And, they knew that I loved them for the things that I would say to them. But whenever I actually just said the 3 words, it was like you said, it just came over me. And it was like, I just love you,
So let me ask you this. So even if in the 90 days, like your 90-day play, like what if you felt like you loved her before the 90 days? So would you hold off? You still wouldn't say it, or would you'd wait?
Yes. For me, because in 90 days, you are getting the very best of most people. Most people are going to give you their very best in the 90 days and probably in the first 6 months. So you are getting top notch, whoever that person is. You're not seeing everything. They are not going to let you see them, crawl out of bed and fart while they're walking to the bathroom. They're not going to show you that in the first 90 days. So
Right.
whatever their stuff is that you're not seeing in that first 90 days is going to come out. Okay. So you can
No, I
love,
totally get it.
you can love what you're seeing in that first 90 days, but that ain't what you're going to see at month
I've been
9.
married so many times. I just fell in love. I was like, I love you.
Well, what I'm getting from this is don't fart in front of Jason.
Look,
At
look,
least
here's the
not
deal.
The first 90 days.
I'm
Go ahead,
okay. I'm okay if you want
No.
to fart in front of me, but do it in the first 90 days. Don't surprise me
that's
at month
what I was
9.
gonna say. No, it'd be like, okay, the second day, you just like fart all over him. Like, get it down.
Yeah.
Like, just,
Yeah. Got to do a test fart in the first couple of weeks.
Look,
right.
I want genuine. Whoever you are, show me up front. Let me see it in the first
I know,
week.
but nobody's like that. You're not.
I am.
Genuine.
I
You're
am.
just okay, nothing that you do in the first 90 days. It's all like straight out.
100%. I don't hide
that's
anything. Because look, if they don't like me,
if
for who I am and how I act, who I am, then
right.
why would I want to
get-
pretend or not show that to them so that in maybe in 5 months they'll accept it, but they won't accept it now? Screw that. I want them to accept it right now. Or don't.
Right. And I like that. What I'm saying is, with women or men, some men, okay, not you, Jason, obviously, aren't like shy or whatever. So in my perspective, I was just saying, it's not like I'm not who I am. It's just there's certain things like, us women, we would be like, okay, hurry up and put our makeup on, or things like that. Like so I guess that's harder to say because I don't want you to think, oh, well, Trisha is like somebody totally fake at the beginning. And then she comes out just farting everywhere. Okay, no. That as far as getting dressed or hurrying up and the farting thing, let's just go back to that like that. I'm not the farter in the first 2 days, so it's kind of like that. I meant like be yourself, but there's certain things that you don't do, for me.
Okay. I will admit
you fart on the phone probably.
I'm probably not going to fart in the first week in front of,
Okay.
but by week 2, if I need to, I'm not really going to hang on to it.
You're not going to go to the other room.
Well, this took a weird turn, and I feel like I pushed it there. Okay. All right, let's move on. We can't talk about farting for 4 hours. All right. I mean, we can, and I'm sure this is going to be the biggest listened to part of the show. But hey.
Oh gosh.
All right. Well,
let me regroup.
I like hearing that. I like hearing both of your responses because it genuinely is. That answer is different for a woman and for a man of when to say I love you. It is different. Women typically do say it first and men don't. And what I've gathered from what you're saying is I think men don't say I love you first out of fear and pride because they don't want to say I love you first and then get shot down because a man's pride is everything to him. Am I wrong? Is that part of it?
Pride's pretty important. And yeah, I mean, but I've never said I love you to someone that I didn't feel confident I wasn't going to get it back.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. That's me too. That's me too.
That's what he's saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like scared. Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you too, I've had a girl tell me that she's like, I love you, like 2 weeks into it. 2 weeks. We hadn't been hanging around each other for years. And I'm like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't tell her I loved her. I said, okay.
Yeah.
That's red flag. That's red flag now for me. Those red flags I was talking about, that would be one I'd be like, okay, I know he does not love me in 2 weeks.
Right.
So that would be that whole red flag.
Yes, for sure.
All right. Next question. And I don't know. I threw the last one at Patricia, right? And so this one goes to you, Jason.
Yeah, my turn.
What is the best age to get married?
Whew. I mean, my opinion is you are maturing each year until, forever. But I mean, I think you kind of hit maturity at around 30. And so I really think I've asked my son, I've told him, I think it would be best if you wait to get married until you're at least 25, 26 years old. It wouldn't hurt my feelings if he waited till he was 27 or 28. So somewhere mid to late 20s, in my opinion. But the deal with that is whoever, if you want to have children, then whoever you marry probably needs to be ready to have children, pretty soon. Because I also say the prime time to have kids is in your late 20s to around 30, maybe 31. So it's kind of a small window there to get married and have the kids, 25 to 30, do all of that stuff, in my opinion. But I think stay single through your early 20s, even if you're dating, through your early, because there's so much to explore, so much to do without being in a family, at such a young age. That's what I think, mid to late 20s.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I definitely agree. I would think in the 20s, even if you date that same person for 8 years, if you start out dating that same person for a long time and it's the same one, then definitely get your priorities, your home, things like that out of the way. So when you do start, getting married and having babies, you've kind of got that out of the way. But I totally agree with early 30s, late 20s. Definitely. I think that's when you're mature enough to know better, but yet you're an adult enough to take care of your kids in your home. So I totally agree with that.
I will say, I know the question was really about marriage and not children, but I will say that, I was 30 when I had my son, and I had, like I said, I had a stepdaughter when I was 21. Although she was my stepdaughter, I was the only dad she had. And I did my best to be a good dad to her, but I can tell a difference in how I fathered my son versus my stepdaughter because I was more mature, and it was,
You're more patient.
Yes, way more patient. And really any kids that I've seen that were raised by parents who were 30 when they had them, the child is nurtured in such a different way than a young parent. And you can tell how the children behave in school, how their grades are, what happens to them when they finish high school. It's just, I think it's just a totally different mindset when you're older, when you're growing.
Yes, I totally agree.
When you're
like my last kid, it's totally different. They're like, you let him do everything. I'm like, by the time I got to my fourth one, honey, I was just like, it wasn't, going and washing off the passy when it fell on the ground. It was like a 5-second rule. Like he's going to live. He's going to be fine.
Right.
It's like, well, why does he have to, he gets to stay up till midnight. I'm like, honey, as long as he comes home at this point, I'm okay. Like, it's just different. It is. I believe, my first one, I was 16 when I got pregnant, 17 when I had her. So just a young kid. Basically my mom, of course I lived with my parents because I was so young. I feel like, they helped me raise her,
right.
Basically. And then the older I got, it was just like, it's a different, definitely. I love it. Yeah. Wait,
yes,
but don't wait too long. Cause then I don't want to be too old and you can't go to their games, or, you want to be able to play with them and still be like that young mindset with your kids too. So I don't regret like having them young. Cause now that they're all adults now, and I'm still like, I pretty much think I'm a cool mom, and I can still understand what they're going through. And now I have 2 grandkids and I'm like, Nana, I want Nana, not grandmother, nothing wrong with it. I'm just like a Nana, but
right.
I don't regret it. And I say not too young, but not too old. So totally agree with the number there.
But even if they have children at 35, they're only 55 by the time their kids are 20 years old. So, and 55 is still young. I
know. Like, especially when I'm 45 now, I'm thinking 55, that's nothing. When I'm in my 20s, I'm like 55. Okay. You're getting old there. But the older you get, the more it's like, 55 still cute.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. That's, the divorce rate's high. That's got to be something, if you have a 40 to 50% divorce rate, how much percentage of that is people that got married too young? And I would say a large percentage of that, right?
Yeah.
I would
absolutely
say, because in your 20s, that's the age where you think you know what the heck you're talking about and you don't. And when you're 30, you realize you didn't.
Right.
Oh, You've got it. So true. Like some of the things I said in my 20s, I'm like, who was that girl? Okay.
Yeah.
Like you grow up, you learn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep. Okay, I like it. So you'd say late 20s at the earliest and 30s.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that. Okay, Patricia, my child won't open up to me. How do I get her to talk to me? What do you do? What's your advice on that?
Well, you just don't pressure them. If you push them to want to be part of it and kind of just like go at them all the time, you just be patient. When it's time, they'll come to you. I don't directly or didn't directly go at my kids. It was just like I would hear, because we're parents, we know what's going on, even when they don't think we know what's going on. So I waited till they came to me. I would push little hints out there, but I don't overpower them, because that's the more it seems like they backed up, so I would let them majority come to me. Like I just, and it worked out for my situations. I just, you don't force it at them, for sure.
I don't know if we totally disagree, or what I'm hearing from you is that, you threw hints out there, but you let them come to you. I mean, I never really pressured my son to talk to me, but if he wouldn't talk to me, I would just talk to him. I mean, like I'd spend 5 or 10 minutes, 10 at the most, because he ain't going to be listening to a word I say. Probably after 5 minutes, when they're younger, especially. If I was trying to get my son to talk to me about things and he just wasn't having it, I would just give him 5 minutes of whatever, and then I would come back at him the next day too. And
Mm-hmm.
I would continually talk to him, even if he wasn't talking back to me, so that maybe I say something that would spark, he'd be like, oh, wait a second, Dad, what, and then that would get the conversation going. And there's still stuff he won't tell me now. I mean, we have a very close relationship, and I say he tells me everything, and I know a lot, probably more than I want to know. But
Right.
But I think that getting your kid to talk to you, you have to be persistent and not overbearing, like you said, and like
Yeah.
you force them, but you have to be persistent daily, so they know you're not going to stop. I want you to talk to me, and I'm just going to talk to you until you do. So
It's so hard at that age. It's so hard. I mean, it's and all my kids were different. Some would come and talk to me, some wouldn't. So at that age, it is one of the hardest ages to me, like just to try to get them to talk. So that's hard. That's a hard one.
And also sharing personal stuff about your own, how you were raised or different things. If you let them see more of what you went through when you were younger, they know that you can identify with what it is that they're dealing with. So I told my son everything. He knows.
Yeah.
He knows just about everything I did. So he knows I've been
And
there.
I agree. I so agree. And I don't know if it's because I was a younger mother, and I grew up basically with my kids. They knew everything. I'd tell them everything, that way they would know what kind of person I was growing up, and that what they're doing, I did the same. Nothing is wrong with it. It's immaturity. It's part of growing up. So I'm the same way.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I'd like to add a little something to this, and this is just from my years as an investigator. One of the biggest things, because you have to get your victims to be able to talk to you. They have to be able to open up. And the biggest thing is to not react whenever they tell you something. I would have to tell, especially in child sex crimes and stuff like that, I'd have to say, nothing you're going to tell me is going to surprise me. And then when they do tell me something, even if it is shocking, I can't emote with my eyes, my facial expressions, nothing, because they will shut down and stop talking to you. And I've noticed that with my kids, that if they're going to tell you something, you better not react to it crazy. Go in your room or something, react to it later, because they're not going to tell you something if they think they're going to get a crazy reaction out of you.
Right. Yeah.
That makes so much sense. You remember when the kids, they'll fall down, and before they want to get up and start crying over it, when they were younger, I would be like, oh my God, are you okay? And then they instantly start crying.
Right.
So you learn in life to just be like, leave it alone, wait till they cry, then you comfort them, but you learn. So exactly what you just said, it just took me back to childhood when my kids were little, and you just don't react to it like, oh my gosh, are you okay?
Right.
Because they instantly cry in their brain. They're like, ah, I'm scared, I'm hit. And they didn't even get hurt. So that makes so much sense.
Yep. Kids like security. They like to know what they're going to get out of you every time. Even if they tell you something shocking, they want to know that you're their rock and their place they can go to. So don't react. You can react later, go in your room, cry, whatever you got to do your reactions then. But at the time, do not react.
Yeah. I love that.
Okay. So next one, Jason, I'm losing place of who I'm asking. So Jason, this one's for you. Okay. I don't know what to do. She wants to take a break. Help. So this is a question for you, saying the people that wants to take a break and the other person doesn't want to. What's your answer to that?
Yeah. You know, I've done several videos on this too, and I'm not a fan of breaks. It's very rare that I would ever tell somebody that, you might give it a little bit of a break. Typically, when one person wants a break, it is, I got somebody else in mind. Let me try that out. And if it doesn't work out, I'll have you here waiting for me. That's typically, not always, but it's a pretty high percentage of that's what's going on. So in the situations where there have been like life-altering events, relationship-altering events, maybe one person has an opportunity to relocate, or something as maybe one person cheated, and the person that got cheated on, needs some time to reflect and decide, is this something I really want to stay in or not? I could see them wanting a break. If it's something like that, where you have done something to cause the other person to pull away and they need time, or if it's, like I said, somebody needs to relocate and they're like, don't know if I want to stay in this long distance, or, whatever. If there's something like that going on, fine. But if you're going to have a break, then there has to be ground rules. It has to be, how long. There needs to be a definitive time. If you haven't made up your mind by this time, we're at least going to talk on this date and regroup. Are we going to be, are we still exclusive? We're neither one of us are going out messing around over this 2 weeks or whatever. All those ground rules have to be laid out and then stuck to, in my opinion. But most of the time, no, I wouldn't do a break.
I totally agree. I just don't think, I think, like you said, if it's a break, they're seeing someone else, something else is going on that you just don't really want to be a part of. So to me, when someone says, I want to take a break, it's like, okay, you take your break, you take your time, you do you, and then I'll get back to focusing on me. Because if you're in a relationship and you truly are starting to care about that certain person, your breaks will be with them, and you talk to, each other about like what that situation is. If it's something like seeing someone else, they're not going to talk to you about that situation. So to me, it's pretty much telling me they have found something, like Jason said, and they want to see if it's going to work out, but they don't want to lose what they have because they like it too. Or, I don't even know about the whole, if they move out of, town or whatever, because if you're in a relationship and you're truly liking that someone, then you still don't need a break. You just need, hey, this is what I'm going to do to better our future or better our relationship or whatever. So definitely, I would say 80%, just so I don't get in trouble from people, 80%, if they say they need a break, it's because they are talking to someone else. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That screw the breaks.
You have to have value in yourself. And if the other person wants a break, you've got to decide what's causing that. If you can find the cause of that, then you've got to, if it's something else, you've got to value yourself.
And sometimes they'll give you the reason, well, I just need time to think about what I really want. Well, bullshit.
Yeah, it's not me.
Yeah. If you got to think about it, then apparently it's not me, because I was totally into you or whatever.
Value yourself.
And if it's early like that and they're saying they need to take a break, well, what are you taking a break from? So if you're doing this now, what the heck are you going to do 2 months, 2 years from now? You need a break just because something isn't going right, or your eyes are on someone else, because we know the truth, but it doesn't make sense. So no, they can break home.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, Patricia, is it okay for my girl or my guy to have a girl or guy best friend? Like, for example, if a girl's asking you this question, is it okay if her boyfriend has a girl best friend?
That one is tricky, and only because I don't want to go off on my experiences, because then definitely no, because it's happened to me. But if I go away from that, then I say you should be able to, just because you should have that trust with that relationship. You should have that trust with your partner, that if they have a girl or a guy friend, whatever, the same sex, then you should be able to trust them. If it goes on too far and they're spending more time with their best friend than me, or, on the opposite sex, then we have a problem. But I've just learned through my experiences, if I truly trust who I am with, because I will trust who I'm with, because I'm very, like we were saying, that whatever that word is, I can't think of right now, but
selective.
I protect myself, my worth. Like I'm not going to be in a relationship that I don't trust someone. So yes, I believe that you should be able to trust them. I believe that they should be able to have a best friend of the same sex or whatever, because you trust who you're with.
I agree. Again, I agree. I agree. I think that best friends need to know their place. I always say that I have a few female friends that would call me their bestie. And I do talk to them on the phone. But as far as spending physical time together, I don't. While they're in a relationship. If they're in a relationship with someone, unless he's going to be there too, I just typically don't spend physical time with them, because out of respect for that relationship between them, I don't want their man to have uneasy feelings, even though I know that there's nothing between me and that female. He doesn't know that. So I know my place
You're giving them respect.
as a friend.
Yeah.
And so I think that if the person's bestie does not know their place and doesn't respect the relationship, that's where the problem really lies.
You got it. That they're not your true friend either, because they should know their boundaries as well.
Right.
So I totally agree with that. It's like, that's it.
See, I don't really have an answer for that, because for me, Angela, like my wife, does not have a guy best friend. But I'm sitting here thinking, as you guys are talking, would I be okay with it if she all of a sudden developed a guy best friend? And the answer is no. But I don't know if that's toxic of me to be that way. I don't know if that's wrong of me to be that way. All I know is I would not be comfortable with it.
I think that's different too, in my opinion. To just develop a friend in adulthood.
Yes.
Okay, well, I met this guy at work and we're really close and we talk a lot and we're going to go have lunch, all the time. No, but if it's if Angela had been friends with this guy since middle school or high school and they'd been friends since before you two even got together, then yeah, I would expect you to accept that's been her friend for many years. And as long as he knows his place and he's not, showing up over here while you're at work and, asking her to go to dinner and stuff, then yeah, it's her friend. I mean, she's known him since school. So I think that's a different situation.
A new one? No, I'm like you. It's just too much. Somebody that you've known for a while, that is good. But to just meet someone and say, hey, I found me a new guy best friend.
Yeah.
Well, your partner should be your best friend.
Yeah.
If you haven't already, like Jason said, developed a friendship. But there should be no best friend after you're in a relationship when you get older of the opposite sex, just because it's just, to me, what you shouldn't do. You can be friends or whatever, but hanging out and being besties, your partner should be your best friend at that point.
100% agree.
Yep. And it all goes back to valuing yourself. Again, you got to value yourself and understand that.
Absolutely.
That you cannot.
You let stuff like that in now, it's going to end up being something bad to come out of it, no matter what, because the right time, the right place, that's when you've grown up and you don't allow it, just because we're all human and you just don't want to put it in your life. So you just kind of leave that alone.
Exactly. I was actually just fixing to say that. Like, at the end of the day, like, I love my wife more than I've ever loved anybody, and I would never do anything to hurt her, but I am still a human, and I understand that I am still attracted to other females, and I have to take steps to make sure that I don't cheat. I'm not going to put myself in a position to where I'm even tempted, because if you do that, you're just asking for disaster. Now, you can love and respect your woman and put yourself in a position to cheat on her if you did it.
That's
but
right.
you've got to take those
That's
steps
right.
not to.
That's it. I mean, that's right.
I in the same way. If I'm in a relationship, I will not put myself in a position that it could even be questioned whether I did or didn't.
Yep.
Because I wasn't
I don't
there.
want that conscience. No, I don't want it. I don't want it on me. I don't want to even attempt myself nor someone else, because like you said, no matter what, at the end of the day, we are human, and it doesn't mean I'm out to find someone else or you don't, but you put something in that relationship that shouldn't be there, things start to happen.
Yeah, can.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to throw this last question. There's one final question. I'm going to throw it to Patricia first, since she's our guest.
Okay.
And we're going to wrap this up. So here's a question. I've caught feelings for my friend. Should I shoot my shot?
Absolutely. Life's too short. Go for it. Worst case scenario, it didn't work out and you lose a friendship over it. But if you lost a friendship, she wasn't, or he wasn't a friend anyway. So I believe, yes, do it.
Well, she was quick. You were quick on that.
That's not happened to me or anything before.
I'm a lot more reserved with that one. I'm not telling people not to do it. I'm just telling them to be very cautious about it and really weigh it out. If first of all, they need to, if they're going to shoot their shot, they really need to try to put some feelers out there to see if it's going to be reciprocated. Because if it's not reciprocated and they shoot their shot, then they didn't get the relationship, and they might have lost the friendship, or at least made the friendship really awkward, for a while. Yeah. So if you shoot your shot and they're not into it, that could be pretty bad. And if you do shoot your shot and they are into it and things don't work out, you've almost certainly lost your friendship. So I just always tell people, be very cautious if you're going to really think it through and make sure that's what you really want to do. And then, if you want to, go ahead. Yeah, you're like, let's do it.
No, let's get it over with, because that way, if I know you ain't feeling the same way, then I'll just go back to being platonic and just being like, okay, we're playing cards tonight. But and then I'll know, and then they'll know. So let's just get it out early, so then that way we both know our places. See, so I look at it like that, like, let me just tell you, I got a little crush. You know what I mean? But I don't know. That's where I'm different, because I'm like, that way I'll know my place. I'll be like, okay, I'm just your friend, so I'm gonna be looking over here then. So don't get mad or jealous when I'm talking to a boy over here, because that ain't fair. So you either want me or you don't. So
I like how both of your answers are similarly different about the should I tell him I love him and this question, because Jason's reservations comes from a place of pride, and we've got to decide, is that a bad thing or is that a good thing? Because Jason, obviously, and which most men are like this, because I feel this way, but I'm kind of leaning towards Patricia Marie on both of those, that I think if you love someone and you get that feeling that you love someone, see, I'm in the middle on that one. Okay, let's just stay on this one. I've got feelings for my friend. Should I shoot my shot? Yes, I think you should instantly, because I'm the type of person, I want to know where you're at. If I'm feeling, I want to know where you're at, because I either want this friendship to be ruined, or I want to know if we're going to move forward with this thing pretty quick. Because let's be honest, it's probably going to ruin the friendship if you tell them you love them and they don't feel the same thing. That friendship's probably over. So you've got to decide that.
Let's be honest, you're just more feminine than I am.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm saying, like, it's kind of interesting that both of you guys are so different on those topics, because a woman will usually say I love you first, and a woman best friend will normally tell the man first, but the man doesn't, because of pride. He doesn't want to get, men don't like to get shot down.
I got to tell you, I do get occasionally I'll get a guy that'll be like, I've got feelings for my female friend, and it's killing me to watch her go after these guys that are no good for her. They're always, scumbags, and I want to be with her myself, but I don't know how, they don't want to ruin their friendship by telling her, but they're watching her go after these scum, and they're like, I can't even be around her anymore because I got to see her with
Yeah.
the
that
guy.
makes it too.
And so I guess maybe from that standpoint, maybe it is better. You shoot your shot, and if it ruins the friendship, at least you don't have to watch or be with scumbags.
Yeah, you got to go find a new best friend because it's that way. It just leaves it out there. Yeah, totally.
Well,
Maybe y'all have convinced me to change my outlook.
There we go. There we go. Just shoot your shot.
I was best friends with this girl that I was in love with in high school, and if she's listening to this, she dang sure knows who she is. I can tell you that. And we haven't talked since I told her I loved her. But this is the crazy part. I told her that I loved her. I wrote her this long poetic note, and I was just trying to be as suave as possible. We had been friends for about a year, and I told her I loved her, and it made the friendship weird from that point on, and we tried to keep it going, and we were best friends. We were so perfect together. We were so perfect as friends. It was just working so well, and when I told her, it made it awkward. But I remember one night in the swimming pool, she approached me and she wanted to kiss me, and I know she did. And I didn't kiss her because I thought that we were starting to build our friendship again after me tanking it from writing her that note. And I didn't kiss her, and then we never talked again after that night.
And see, and you've regretted it. I mean, I know you're married now and all that, but it still touches your heart today. Like, do you wished you would have?
I wonder what would happen if I would have kissed her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to know because I'm so happy that I'm at.
Oh yeah. Now we leave it alone. Now we got to, we can talk about it, help other people out because before they get married or tied down or whatever, that's where I'm going with just do it. That way you get it over with, where you stand, they stand, and then you can move on with your life because I believe we've all probably done what you've done and wondered what if.
Yes.
So don't leave those. Leave those. Go do it. And that way you have no regrets. And then they know exactly how you feel. And if they can't accept that, then they don't need to be your friend. It's just like I developed, which makes it awkward. Like Jason says, it does. But I would rather it be awkward than to always wonder what if.
Well, because you got to think, this is 20 years later. I'm sitting here discussing that I obviously still think about it. If I would have just went ahead and kissed her, we wouldn't have been having these questions.
Right.
That's right.
Don't leave unanswered
questions. If you would have kissed her, guess what? Maybe if you would have kissed her, you wouldn't have the wife you have today.
Exactly.
So that goes to, that one's unsolved mystery stuff. So we just leave it there. And then, your life was supposed to be where it is today because it's where it is today.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. But kiss the girl. That's what I'm telling you.
Kiss the girl and the guy.
You got to kiss the girl.
Whatever you guys do.
Yeah, just
don't wait.
Kiss the person. Kiss the person. If you want to kiss him, kiss him.
Whatever. A dog. I don't care. As long as you want to, do it right then.
And if it doesn't work out, don't email us and tell us. We only like success stories here. So
yeah. Like it is not my fault. You should have went with Jason anyway. Okay.
Can we put a disclaimer on the?
Yeah. Don't email us if our advice doesn't work. Do not email us, please. We only like success stories.
That's the new shirts, Jason. Do not email us.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Patricia, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a lot of fun. We're gonna put this on all our social medias, and it has been a blast having you on. Anything that you'd like to say to your listeners or our listeners?
Just don't come at me now. I was just doing my opinion only, okay? But I just appreciate you guys having me come on. It's been so fun. You guys can call me anytime. We'll see how this one does before I come back. But I think you guys are both wonderful, and I appreciate just being on today. So, well,
Patricia, I'm so grateful that you came on, and you're always going to be welcome back anytime.
Awesome.
And for everybody else, you may not always like what I have to say, but I'm always going to shoot you straight.
That's right.
You have been listening to The Straight Shooter Show. Come back every Wednesday for new episodes.